Hey guys, it's your girl Miss Jennifer and I'm back today with another cooking tutorial. Today we are going to be making my oven baked barbecue chicken. We're going to use chicken thighs with the skin on. You can absolutely follow this same recipe if you use skinless chicken thighs. You're just going to have to reduce your cook time, but mine will be bone in, skin on chicken thighs, and it's very delicious and it's very simple and easy to make. I'm just showing you right now the seasonings that I will be using. I'll be using the Montreal steak seasoning by McCormick's Grill Mates. I have a smaller bottle that I refill, so I'm going to use that. I will be using the Ochos Rios chicken seasoning. Now, you may not be able to find this. I got this out of Food Depot. However, it is not that important to the recipe. It does give it a little kick, but I've made it several times without using it, and I'm only going to be using that on the skin. I'm going to be using the Zanarans Creole seasoning. Now be aware there is another bottle that comes in a clear bottle that says Zanarans Creole seasoning, but it's coarser. This is a finer ground seasoning, so this is the one you want, and then just some basic black pepper. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So here I have washed these chicken thighs and I patted dry. Now, if you have never cleaned chicken thighs before, it is absolutely necessary, okay? There is going to be some fat that you're going to have to pull off. You may not get it all. I'm pretty sure I did not, but you are going to want to pull that fat off. Even if you do skinless, there's still fat to pull off, but just be mindful. You are going to need to get that fat cleaned off, and my most important thing is just to make sure they're washed thoroughly, which these are. I got most of the fat, but I'm pretty sure there's still some in, but don't worry about it. If it bothers you, just go the extra mile and do some more. Okay, so let's jump right into seasoning. First thing I'm going to use, I'm starting on the bottom of the chicken thighs first because we're going to be cooking them skin side up, so I'm going to season that part last, so once I'm ready to put it in the baking pan, we don't have to flip again. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with is our Creole seasoning here. And don't overdo it with any of these seasonings, okay? So just gonna dust it, especially since we are using more than one type of seasoning. So you don't want to do too much of any one seasoning because we are using more than one seasoning. Move my hand out of the way. I believe I have a shadow cast it. Okay, so that's about what it's going to look like. But don't forget to, and I'll go back and get anything that I missed. Don't forget, you do want to make sure you get some seasoning on that skin. Okay, so I've gone and gotten any pieces I missed with the Creole seasoning. Now I'm just going to take some black pepper. How much you use of that is up to you, but I'm just going to do a simple dusting. Boom, not a big deal. And because our Grill Mates McCormick seasoning, that steak seasoning, it's going to have pepper in it anyway. And so that's the last step we're going to do on the underbelly side. And we're just going, now this is going to be a coarser seasoning. So this isn't fine ground right here. And I use this on chicken all the time, no matter, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is great on fried chicken. If you season your fried chicken with this, it's good. It's very good. Okay, but you don't want to do too much because you don't want to have too much going on because like we said, we use two different types of seasoning. We have Creole seasoning and the Grill Mates seasoning. So as long as you don't overdo it, it'll be a great blend. So now we're going to flip it over and do the skin side. Okay, so now I have flipped the thighs over, washed my hands because I have to pick up my seasoning again, and the last thing I want to do is have the bacteria and the chicken gunk on my seasoning bottles, right? Okay, so we flipped them over, and this time we're going to use the same seasoning, but this time if you are able to get the chicken seasoning from Ochos Rios, we're going to do this. And let me tell you, if you do get this, be very light-handed with this because this also has its own clear flavor. It's very present, and you don't want to overdo it with this. I'm just doing this on the skin side only. Obviously, we're dealing with a different texture. The skin can take a little bit more than the actual meat itself. So this is all I'm going to use for that Ochos Rios seasoning. Then I'm going to come back with my Creole seasoning lightly. The Creole and the Ochos Rios are going to be the ones that I use the lightest, because I do want their flavor, but I don't want it to be the most present flavor. And the parts that you can lift up like this, you want to go in there and just get just a little bit of seasoning. Let me just give you a tip on something else you can do. I'm not going to do it on this video, but if you have red bell pepper, orange, yellow, whatever, you can dice up some medium-sized squares or cubes and stick it underneath the flap, stick it underneath the skin and cover it. And when you put it in the oven and the heat gets to it, all of those juices will get down in the skin and you'll have that flavor, and it is a little party in your mouth. But I'm not doing that on this video, but I did want to let you know that you can do it and how to do it if you wanted to. So on the underbelly, I'm only going to use the underbelly, underneath the skin, I'm only going to use a little bit of the Creole seasoning, which that's a little bit more than I wanted to. That's okay. I'll just rub it in and then cover it, because like I said, I'm not putting anything else underneath the skin. Once you finish doing that, we're going to go ahead and go back to our McCormick's Grill Mate and our black pepper. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished doing underneath the skin, just like I showed you. And then I came and put my Grill Mates McCormick seasoning, that steak seasoning, on top, and a little black pepper. I think I'm okay not showing you me do the McCormick's on top, because it is a coarse seasoning and you can actually see what I put on there. I measure absolutely nothing when I'm seasoning meat. I just eyeball everything. I'm going to go back and put a little something on that skin over there, because like I said, you want your skin seasoned. But other than that, we're done for now. If you are ready to cook, go ahead and put them in the oven. Preheat your oven at 350. I am going to plate these and wrap them up and put them in the refrigerator, because I'm not ready to cook right now. So this is great for those of you who are pressed on time. You can prep your meat in the morning, cover it, put it in the refrigerator, and once you get home or get done with whatever you have to do, you can just throw them in the pan and slide them in the oven, which is what I am going to have to do. Just make sure when you cover them and put them in the refrigerator, make sure it's covered very tightly and securely, because you don't want them to dry out too much. But 350 for, I'm going to say an hour if you're using bone-in skin on. Trust me, if you follow my recipe to a T, they will not be dried out. I have something else I'm going to show you once we actually get them in the oven and going. But for this step, we're all done. This is the hardest part. Okay, so now we are ready to cook our chicken thighs. My oven has been preheated to 350. So before we put them in the oven, we're going to add our barbecue sauce in the beginning. I will be using Kraft's sweet brown sugar barbecue sauce, but of course you use whatever barbecue sauce is your favorite. I prefer things that are sweeter than tangy, but this part has nothing to do with how well your chicken gets cooked. That's just a matter of your preference, whatever your barbecue sauce taste is. And how much you put on there is totally up to you. Now that our barbecue sauce is added to our thighs, all we have to do is pop them in the oven. Now I'm going to cook them uncovered. The reason why I'm doing it uncovered is because I want the skin to get a little crispy a little bit. I do not want to cover it, because if I cover it, that steam gets in it and that will make for a more softer skin. So I'm going to leave it uncovered. And I also put my barbecue sauce on in the beginning, because if I put it on in the beginning, the barbecue sauce will have more of a baked on effect. Some people put it on maybe like 20 to 30 minutes before it's done. But when you do that, and that's fine, but if you do that your barbecue sauce is more runny than baked on. And I just like that baked on taste, but that's something else that's a personal preference. Just like whatever barbecue sauce you choose is based off your preference. Whether you want to put it on in the very beginning or put it on halfway through, that's up to you. But this is just how I do it because I like that baked on taste. Okay, so our thighs are in the oven and we're going to leave them in here about an hour. You may have to adjust the time up or down just depending on how big the chicken thighs that you have are. I said in the beginning, if you're using skinless thighs, you won't need to cook them as long. So you'll have to, just reduce the cook time probably if you're using skinless or boneless and skinless, then you may not want to cook them as long. And again, I also let mine go a little bit longer because I like that crispy skin. So if I don't like the way it is at the hour, I may let it go up just a few minutes. You don't want to overcook, but don't worry, I'm going to show you a trick that I do when I'm about halfway through cooking these. To make sure that my chicken retains moisture and they don't dry out. Okay, so it's been about 40 minutes at this point, looking good. So this is just my little tip, and I don't even think it's going to be necessary with this batch of chicken, but it's just a precaution. What I do when I bake things uncovered like this, I put just a tad bit of chicken stock in the bottom of the pan, and not a lot, but just a tiny bit, and that will keep it it helps keeping it from drying out. But these are always very juicy when I do them, so you shouldn't have a problem. But that's just a tip. If you ever run over time just a little bit, or you're not liking the way it looks, you can add a little bit of stock to the bottom of the pan to help retain the juiciness of it. All right, guys, and we are done. One's missing because I had to try one because they look so good. But this is what I mean about putting the barbecue sauce on first because it gets all baked on. Look how good that looks. So yeah, about an hour if you have the same size thighs as I did. You did skin on, bone in. About an hour is good. Mine actually stayed in a few minutes longer than I intended because I got a phone call and got distracted. However, they're still great and juicy. They are still moist, and the skin had just that slight crisp to it that I like. It's not crunchy, so it's not going to be that type of crispy, but you'll see what I mean when you make your own. Let me know what you think if you tried this recipe. What type of sauce do you like? What tips do you have? If you have your own way of doing this that you like to do, feel free to share it. This is a friendly environment. Until next time, you guys stay blessed. And if you have any suggestions for other recipes, then be sure to leave your requests below. Peace.